talkative people.
It's annoying.
Take the mic away from her right now.
Yeah.
Because that's awfully rude.
Heck, yeah.
I don't know what's the deal with her microphone. We'll get it figured out.
Yeah,
we'll work it out in post-production. Don't worry about it.
Great.
We'll edit all this out in post.
Nice. Okay, so Scott and I, we stayed here in the studio today, and Lauren and Kathy went shopping.
No, we didn't go shopping.
Oh,
We were looking at Pittsburgh and
Shopping and
we saw a lot of fun things
purchasing.
today. Okay, Lauren and I were down at the Christmas market at PPG today.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful. For those of you listening, if you haven't been down there, you should just go.
Really?
It's cheap parking. It's only $5 to park after 6 o'clock. Go down, spend the evening. The new Christmas tree is much more beautiful.
At the ice rink.
It's taller. The proportions are better. Lauren, you agreed? People are skating.
It's a real tree, though, right?
No, it's not a real tree. No.
Wow. So, like 2 years ago, they had a different fake tall
year.
tree?
Yeah, this is our new tree.
Right.
Oh, I didn't know. Okay.
This is our brand new
Well,
tree. It's hard to believe in Dallas you're not keeping up with these things here in Pittsburgh.
Wait, just before we hit the air, they were saying it's 80 degrees in Dallas today, right?
Boy,
It was last
It was last week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, so it's 75 today. Right.
Holy cow. Well, listen, anyway, the Christmas market is a ton of fun. How many great things did we see today?
12.
we a lot. Too many.
Too many things.
It was too many to count.
No, wait,
it was too many to count.
But to me, now, I like a market, but was it a lot of tchotchke?
Oh yeah, but
well,
that's okay.
It's all tchotchke.
It was high quality.
That's the difference, though. It was okay. Here was the highlight. First of all, there was a lot of beautiful things from all different parts of the world. Here, try this microphone here.
There we go. Doing surgery here in the studio.
All this out in post.
Yeah.
Right, there you go.
Okay, but listen, there was a gentleman. There we go, selling refrigerator magnets. Okay.
Tchotchke.
So they're maybe
Gotcha.
maybe 3 inches
Gotcha,
by
gotcha.
1 or 2 or something like that. So they're rectangles. Okay.
It's a sale on tchotchke.
No. If you let me tell the story. Anyway, there are a whole bunch of different Pittsburgh things, and there are also just general Christmas things. Okay, now here's the irony of it: is that there was a really lovely one of Mother Teresa. Okay, it was a photograph of her, she had 3 children with her, and she was doing, what she did. She was loving. It was just really, really beautiful. And then right there next to it was Hill's department store.
What?
Yeah, it was a classic shot of the front of Hill's department store.
Was she taking them shopping?
No,
or
these
was
are two different. These
Two
were
different things.
These
Oh,
were
two different things. I thought you meant she was at the
juxtaposition of these two
I
things.
got it.
Just
Got
a
it.
collision of
These were-
Pittsburgh nostalgia and a holy icon.
And it just seemed odd that they would be ever before now at this moment in history in the same space.
But if you're a Pittsburgher, you get it.
I guess.
Right?
Yeah, Scott, you
Is it-
didn't grow
why
up
is
here.
that?
I already told Lauren
Why
this.
would you?
Hill's department store was super low rent.
Okay, so it was the Mother Teresa of department stores.
No,
Is that what you're saying?
No,
it was kind to people.
No,
and
it was not.
Children always
No,
gathered
I don't
around.
think it was really kind.
Everybody wore white.
No, it was nothing like that. It was a little dirty. It was a little stinky.
No,
Hey,
no.
you're
Yeah,
talking
it
about Mother
was.
Teresa. You're talking
it
about
was.
the department store.
All of a sudden, John's memory has become you've glamorized Hills?
A little. I mean, it was,
It's a reduction.
it was pretty.
It wasn't pretty.
Come on.
It was for the common man and woman. It was a pedestrian type place.
It was. Okay,
wait,
we
now.
all need places like that.
Has Target not become Hills?
Oh, Target is a palace compared to Hills.
I don't think so.
No, Hills was a lot more like Kmart
Zayers.
before they went under.
Okay.
See, all of this makes perfect sense to me. I can picture
Hills.
so much more now that you compared it to not just any Kmart though, but Kmart right before it went under. Now I know
You know what I mean?
exactly.
See,
yes.
my
There
thing
weren't
with
enough people in there. So
my
it
thing with
seems
Kmart
odd.
was the aisles were always too narrow and the stuff was always too tall. I always felt like I was walking through a cave of goods.
Yeah.
There's not enough room to get around.
So you were,
I don't
like,
think that close to
intimidated.
the people coming the other way.
See, yesterday on yesterday's show, I told a story of me working at Kmart.
You did?
Wow.
I sold appliances
Oh my goodness.
when I was 16.
Man.
Really?
Like I knew what I was doing going on.
Yeah.
How'd you do
I
there? You
quit.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
No,
walked
wait.
out.
No, wait. He didn't quit at the end of his
Shift.
shift.
Oh, that's great. You walked
it
out
was
and you
horrible.
stormed out.
Horrible. No, I didn't storm out.
Okay.
I was feeling
Just
bad
walked-
about my
snuck out.
It was kind of. It was Saturday. It was Saturday, and I wrote a letter to the
Saturday.
person who hired me and said, "Please forgive me. I'm so sorry. This is not working." Working for me.
Why, yeah. As a
As
cool
16-year-old.
16-year-old.
Right. And then, as one would have it, That day, my parents happened to be out shopping, and they were like, "Let's stop at Kmart and see Johnny."
No.
I showed up, and they were like, "Oh,
Yeah.
he left."
Let me break the fourth wall for a second and turn to the audience. Let's picture this for a second. John is a 16-year-old
Selling washing
who
machines.
can't really take it. It's been like day 13. He can't take it anymore, but he gives a note to a guy who is stuck there. And who has
Probably
nowhere
35.
to, who has,
That was his bed.
The guy's going, who do I give my note to?
Right. Well, if COVID would have happened then, he would have given it to the government.
Yeah.
That's all.
Man, I never worked at Kmart.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I never did that.
What are
The
the
grocery
odds,
store.
though, that his parents would pick that moment
Yeah.
to decide to go see little Johnny and do
Love
your
us,
job?
to love me, to
Hey, let's
honor me.
go. Yeah, let's. You know who would love for us to come by and see.
He's
him?
hardworking.
Johnny. Let's go by and see Johnny
You know,
while
my
he's
dad,
working.
he bought a bag of circus peanuts, and he walked out the door.
Right, but then what did he tell you when they got home?
Yeah, he wasn't too happy.
Well, where were you while you were pretending to be at work?
Yeah.
At Kmart.
Probably thumbing back home.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, they didn't see me as they were.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
They could have picked you up and given you a ride.
Yeah, they could have.
For free.
We digress. We do
Hey,
digress.
that kid looked familiar.
I'd buy a washing machine from him.
Thank you. He doesn't know how to operate it, but he'd sell you one.
Clearly.
I sold quadraphonic stereos. That's how long ago it was.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, they were a
Wow.
thing. Anyway.
I love it.
Should we take a break?
Yeah, let's take a
Okay,
break.
let's take a break. We're going to talk about Save the Children and about Plumpy Nut, something that's just incredibly miraculous, saving children's lives around the world. Stay with us. We're Pittsburgh's Christian Talk, the ride home here on Word FM. Hey, welcome back. Save the Children's with us on today's show. We've talked about this in the past, about Plumpy Nut. And Scott Water here is with us. Scott, you've seen the miracle of what Plumpy Nut does in a child's life. Describe this.
Yeah, and before I say that, let me say this. This is Lauren reminded me this morning that this is our 6th December to be with you for.
Is it really?
Yeah, to be with you for. I didn't believe it either. To be with you for Save the Children. I think that qualifies as a word family tradition.
Oh my!
That every single there are children.
It's approaching Rudolph.
Well, there are children alive today. That might be overstating, but there are children alive today because of what we did last year, and the year before, and the year before, the year before, and the year before. So this is our 6th year doing this, and again this year, what we did last year, I think we talked about. Because of COVID and all that, helping kids here in the United States. And, of course, Save the Children does that all the time, like Western Kentucky and all the tornado stuff that happened. Certainly on the ground there, doing work there. But where I normally do my work is in Africa. And never thought I'd go there once. Been there 14 times so far. And that's about children under the age of 2 suffering from severe acute malnutrition. And so today, let's give the phone number real quick because somebody may say, I did this last year, I'll do it again. The number is 888-884-4836. 888-884-4836, or go online to wordfm.com and click on the banner when you're there. $60 can provide enough for that Plumpy Nut. We'll tell about that in a second. Plumpy Nut to save a child's life. This is not just feeding hungry children. This is saving a starving child. So this is really children that are right on the brink. And I've seen it up close and personal, and it's very tough to look at. But the good news is, I've always said, this because we've traveled internationally together. If we have the opportunity to go and see, we have an obligation to come and tell and to say, hey, this is what it's like over there. And just because it isn't happening here doesn't mean it isn't happening. Right. And so we have a chance today to do that. Now, a lot of people recently have started doing, Lauren, the $30 a month for 12 months. And that would be 6 children over the course of a year for less than $1 a day.
That's exactly right.
I don't know what's with your microphone.
I don't either.
What's going on with you? Talk for a second.
Maybe it just wasn't meant to be today.
All right.
Maybe you're just really a soft.
That's good.
Yeah.
I don't notice that so much in real life, but the soft-spokenness.
I'd like to get that on tape, maybe. And
she's so shy and retiring.
Hang on to that.
Real life.
For a time when I might need it in the future.
But today we're very excited, really humbled to be here again with you guys, and we love being with you guys. I mean, personally, obviously. We have a great time with you guys, but to be able to call in the audience and to do a Word family tradition, Word FM family tradition, and to together say we're going to save some babies. We're going to save some children under the age of 2.
So let me ask you a question. If we're looking back on 6 years of you guys being here, take us back to year 1. What the situation of those kids was at the time, and maybe where you think they are. I'm not asking for a specific kid, but just trying to extrapolate what's happened.
I'll give the number again, though.
Yeah, 888-884-4836, 888-884-4836. And we're going to thank you by first name and by city as we see your names come across our computer screens. And we know you don't do it for that purpose, but we think it's a good thing to encourage other people. It's encouragement to other people that you're doing it, and hey, Coriopolis did it, so we're going to.
Coriopolis.
The rest of us can do it too.
I'll fall in line
at 888-884-4836 or online at wordfm.com. To answer your question, I think the first time we were here, we were talking. I just come back from Ethiopia, and the great drought that is going on. Still going on today.
Years after the fact.
I saw a thing today. I mean, today, talking about the plight of children. It wasn't a Save the Children thing. It was in the news. But the plight of children suffering because of a drought. See, a drought, we think of a drought as, a drought, no water. Well, that's true, but it's more than that because ultimately it becomes an issue of nutrition. You don't have enough, water for crops, don't have water for people, and water for animals. The animals don't get fed, they don't get watered, they die, they can't go to market, you can't sell anything. You got no money, you can't buy any food, you can't grow any food, and as always, kids are the ones that are impacted first and worst always. And so that was sort of the very first year. But still, the drought is a huge issue. And of course, without a drought, there is great pain and suffering in so many of the 125 countries where Save the Children works. And so the last place I went, I think, for Save the Children was probably Niger, same place. And it was stark. I mean, it was same kind of thing. I remember standing at the foot of a bed where previously there'd been a little girl under the age of 2. There were 50 beds. I mean, 50 children a day came into this hospital. Now, this was a place, 10.5-hour Jeep drive. And then we had to walk beyond that to get to this hospital. And you have to disabuse yourself of hospital. What is a hospital?
Right.
Because it's nothing like what we think. It's dirt floor, stuff like that.
But there's help.
But there's medicine there. And the good news is there's plumpy nut there. And the plumpy nut is, it's in the international relief community, it's known as a ready-to-use therapeutic food. RUTF is what is emblazoned on the side of pallets and packaging. And it's ready-to-use therapeutic food. And what it is a peanut-based paste that you just squeeze into the mouth of a child, and it is therapeutic food. So it's not, they can't just be given normal food. Like if you had severe dehydration. I couldn't just throw you a bottle of Lawrence Dasani and say, take a sip of this, you'll be okay. I mean, it doesn't work that way.
Or if you have the stomach flu, it's not like you can eat lasagna.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Okay. So it's a medical state. It needs a medical solution. And so plumpy nut is that. And it's only been around about 17, 18 years. It does not need to be refrigerated, which is a huge thing in the part of the world where there is no even electricity. I mean, 80% of Niger is the Sahara Desert. I mean, There's no electricity. So, to have the ability to deliver life-saving nutrition, especially this time of year, I think it's, we've just been through, we did Thanksgiving, which is all about us, and we did the Black Friday, which is usually about us. We say we're buying for the people, but it's all about us. Then you have a Small Business Saturday, you have Cyber Monday. I know we had Giving Tuesday, but this is a really good time to sort of look outside ourselves and say, what can we do? How can we as a family? And I think one of the things that I like about this time of year when you talk about doing for others is to think about the number of stockings that you have hung up and to think, well, those are my blessings. Now, for some people, it's not just your kids, it's also your grandkids. And then some people put pets up there, and no judgment, because I know some people who do that, and those are your blessings.
Those people are proud and happy.
And those people, but those are your blessings. And so I would say, man, wouldn't it be cool to be able to look at the number of stockings you have throughout the whole holiday season and say, we saved 7 kids, or we saved 9 kids, or whatever it was. So we have a lot of opportunity to do it. The phone number is 888-884-4836. We want to save 100 this afternoon, so 50 in this hour. So 50 would be the number of kids that come into the hospital every day. So 50 would be a day's worth, and it's $3,000 total. So every $60 does that for one. And again, if you choose to do the monthly thing, that's a great opportunity to make it. I mean, I have 2 things. I do this in both ways. I sometimes I feel like I've got it now, I want to give it now. I have no idea what tomorrow is, and I don't want to disappoint people in the future. Yeah. So I'm just going to give what I have. Then other times, I don't want it to be something I do. I want it to be some part of who I am. And so I'll do it, on a regular basis. And Lauren, you have a story about doing that. If your mic doesn't work, I'll shove mine over.
Yeah. No, it was years ago, and it was. I was at an event for a ministry that my kids were a part of, and it was a big banquet fundraiser thing, and people were giving pretty large gifts. And I really had nothing that would allow me to participate in that way. But what I found out was you could be a monthly donor. If I, maybe I couldn't give $50, $100, $200. I could do $15 a month, though. That was 10 years ago. I still do that. Nice. But have increased it as I've been able to. And it, just like Scott said, it has become a part of who I am. Right. Not just an organization that I give to, but a place that I feel like I support. It's and also that. Every time that, every month when I give that money, it's a reminder also, like you say, to pray for the people who are impacted by that. Not just, I mean, that the money that I give will be put to good use, and that the kids who are benefiting from it will be just covered with prayer. I mean, it really does become a part of who you are when you give in a way like that. And it doesn't have to be a lot.
Yeah, so it doesn't have to be a lot, but it has to be something to move this ball forward to save a child's life at 888-884-4836. That's 888-884-4836. Of course, always online at wordfm.com.
You know, if you wanted to do, a lot of people do $30 a month. I don't know what it is, but there's something about $30 a month that works for me. Because you think of it this way, that's for less than $1 a day. You can save over the course of a year 6 kids. 6 kids for less than $1 a day. And, you know, over the course of a year, you say, well, I can't give $250. But you know what? $30 a month. By the way, maybe the same you're paying for some streaming services. I mean, I think about that for a second. I pay a lot of money on these streaming services.
How many do you have? 3, 4, 5, 6?
Yeah, right. Some I go, am I still paying for that?
I just
Yeah.
I thought that.
And you weren't even aware you were spending the money.
It's like Epics. Why do I still pay for Epics? I don't want to see anything on Epics anymore. So why pay $9 a month for that?
For the past 5 years.
Right.
You didn't know.
They love that. But that's my point is, you know, some of this stuff is just for our entertainment, it's for our pleasure. And to be able to give, you know, $360 over the course of a year. Now, there are other people that, and I'm not in this category, I'm more like a cumulonimbus cloud. I'm kind of a cumulus cloud. But the financial guys that are worried about end-of-year giving, they're like Cirrus. You know, they're way up
high
there.
up there.
They're way up at the high area of the sky. But maybe you're in that category and you say, you know, I do want to do something great. And I do want to, you know, I've had a good business year, and I want to give $1,000 or $2,000 or $5,000, whatever it is. We'd humbly offer that you could consider this and say, let's save some babies together, save some young children together under the age of 2. You know, I think it's a very Christ-like thing to do to come to the aid of really the most vulnerable. I mean, once they're born, I mean, see, we don't really have a sense for it, but in other parts of the world, just getting a child to be born alive is a huge thing. But then to get that child past what the relief community calls the 1,000 days. And I remember, so I said 1,000. First time I heard it, I said 1,000 days. They said, yeah, you know, the first 2 years. I said, the math doesn't work. 2,000 days. They said, no. Before the baby's born, you got to make sure the mom is ready to give birth to a healthy baby and take care of her body and
the mom
prenatal.
The mom isn't starving.
Exactly, and so to get a child to 1,000 days, we don't think about that.
No. It's just a given.
But you know, there it's a huge deal. So I would just say, you know, we don't want anybody to give out of guilt. We give out of gratitude. We're so thankful that God has blessed us the way that He has, and I've just come to believe that He doesn't just bless us this way because He loves us. He blesses us this way because He trusts us to be Him to them. So it's not a chore. It's not a burden. It's not a drag. It's not a bummer. It's an honor to have God trust us in that way. So if you're listening right now, you have to wonder, am I blessed? If you're listening right now, yeah, you are. Because of who you are and whose you are and where you are, and not even argue when you are, you're blessed. And now the question is, will we simply respond and be conduits through which those blessings can flow to others?
Nice. Amen and amen and amen. Thank you, Scott. So we're going to step away for just a minute, but as you hear the passion in Scott's message to us today about Save the Children, won't you please go to your phone, whether it is that one-time gift of $60 for one child or $120 or whatever it is, or you want to do a monthly gift of $30 a month, fabulous, to save 6 children over the course of a year, and you won't even feel it, right? The idea of a subscription that you've been, you know, watching Apple TV or whatever, Crackle or Epic, or, you know, the things that you forget about.
I think it's Epics.
Epics.
That's like
that's
what my invoice says. Is Epic. It's Epics, John.
But all that, right? I mean, give until you can't give anymore.
Amen.
Do something here at 888-864-4836. 888-884-4836. In a country that once again is embroiled in a debate about the right to life and abortion, here's an opportunity for us to step forward to save lives. Join us, won't you? wordfm.com or 888-884-4836.
Brad.
Hey, welcome back. Happy that you're with us. We're talking about saving kids' lives here at Christmas, which is, not a weird juxtaposition whatsoever. Scott Wilder's with us. He's been to Africa. Scott, you said, 14 times?
So far.
Very nice.
14 so far.
Does it ever get old?
I bet the flight gets old.
About day 6. Mm-hmm. No, it really doesn't. I mean, you get there and you do get overwhelmed. I mean, I get overwhelmed. I really do get overwhelmed when I see
by the suffering.
Because you just think there is no way I can come back and explain this to anybody who is worried about their streaming service getting interrupted. I mean, I was at lunch today briefly and was on the Wi-Fi, and the Wi-Fi went out, and I was like, "Ma'am." I had a sense of urgency. I wasn't mad, but it's like, come on. I mean, why can't I get so? And I've said before that we're so if it doesn't affect our connectivity, we're kind of hard to motivate. You spend so much time going over there and you comfort the afflicted, then you come here and afflict the comfortable because we are so comfortable and we're addicted to comfort. I really am convinced of that. You take away our comfort, it's like you took away the binky. I mean, it's like immediate. It's crying. I don't have my binky. And then look, I say that I'm pointing 3 fingers back at me because, like I said, I'm the same way. But I get overwhelmed because you go over there and you see it, and then you think, how in the world can I possibly explain this to anybody? I will fail. So God will have to speak through it because it's very emotional. And actually, it gets more emotional for me now as I am closer to your age, John. I just had a big birthday, so John and I were talking about backaches and stuff.
Sharing the decade. No, I feel fine. Maybe that's your backache.
No.
Oh, God. Don't implicate me in your backache.
It seems like I struck a nerve.
Okay. Don't drag me into your maladies, my friend. Okay.
But anyway, I get pretty emotional about it now. Because I think about, I've always known it's life and death, but you know it in your head. But when you go and you see it, you kind of feel it more deeply than that.
I think, too, by the time you've lived a little while, by the time you've gotten to the age that all of us, are in here, you've been through a couple of things, a couple of handfuls of things. People who have been through some really tough things. Yeah. But I have never worried about whether or not my kids were going to starve. Mm-hmm. I mean, not even close. Mm-hmm. And it really is. It's kind of hard to put yourself in that headspace.
How do you be a mother with that overriding everything?
I don't know. It's tough. But this is something we can do something about this. There might be a whole lot we can't do anything about, but we sure can do something about this.
The phone number to call is 888-884-4836, 888-884-4836, or online at wordfm.com. The Wilders, that's my real name, the last name. The Wilders this weekend will do what we've done for 28 previous Christmases.
Nice.
We, a long time ago, stopped giving presents and started giving presents. Just spending time together. E-N-C, not E-N-T-S. And, I think about that this time of year when I think about Save the Children. We're hoping our kids are hoping for a really great Christmas, and there are moms and dads in another part of the world that are hoping that their kids make it to Christmas. And today, you can make sure that that's the case. You deliver the plumpy nut. It's a very little bit from us, goes a long way. And I do believe that the proof of the feeling is the doing. The doing is the proof that the Good Samaritan. I was listening to, I think it was Chuck Swindoll this morning. Pardon me. He was talking about the story of the Good Samaritan, and he's not remembered for what he thought, not remembered for what he intended to do, not remembered for what he was outraged by.
His ideology.
It was what he did. It was what he did. Yeah. And even God himself, the first verse you taught your kids or grandkids was, "For God so loved the world that he did something." And I would just say it a different way. God loved you so much that the feeling had to be turned into action. And that's what we want today. We want love to be a verb today. If they're going to know we're Christians by our love, it has to be what they see that we do. And that's what we're doing today. So I hope you'll call right now. And don't delay. You know the value of this, and I hope you'll call right now. 888-884-4836.
Fabulous. The opportunity is here to save children's lives with an S, children's lives. Scott Wilder says 888-884-4836. Once more, 888-884-4836 or online at wordfm.com.
Da, 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 da.
24 years ago, just a couple of weeks ago, my first son came into this world weighing 2 pounds 9 ounces. Now, we as new parents, we didn't have any anxiety. We didn't know better to be anxious. We were just like, we were excited he was here. The doctors, were confident that he would be just fine, which, as a matter of fact, is true. He's much more than 2 pounds 9 ounces now. However,
that's a good update.
All those people that were around us, I mean, the medical community, family, friends, all that was a great encouragement. And we had this gigantic church of prayers as well. All that to say, when we think about kids in sub-Saharan Africa,
right,
they don't have those resources that are available to them. So that's why Plumpy Nut is such a miracle and so necessary to allow life to flourish.
Yeah, it really is. And also, you were surrounded by everything sterile. You were surrounded by everything like stainless steel, everything. Like
I was wearing a mask. Which
I mean,
like,
before now,
right? Yeah.
But I mean, they have nothing like that, and so we really can come alongside these moms and dads that are desperate. I've seen it when you see a woman who is walking barefoot for 3 hours, carrying what appears, as she's walking down the trail, appears to be a rag doll but that's her son. And her son is a year old and weighs maybe 9 pounds. And you think, a year-old weighs 9 pounds. I mean, that's unbelievable. I mean, I've seen a 4-month-old that weighed, 4 pounds.
A newborn weighs 11.
I mean, exactly. And so, we have a chance just to say, listen, we've been blessed so much by God, and all we have to do is share a little bit of it. Don't share a lot, just share a little bit, And I mentioned before about the doing. The doing is the proof that the feeling is real. The widow's mite. It was what she did. That's why she's remembered. The boy with the loaves and fishes, for what he did. That's why he's remembered. And today we have a chance to be the same, to do something, not to be remembered, but to do something that will show others what our love is all about. And God has loved us, and so we love others. And we've been blessed, so we bless. And, for those of us who, the world even will use the phrase, there but for the grace of God go I. But I don't think they really get it like we get it, if they really understood, I mean, even anybody would say that phrase. All it means is, if it weren't for God, that would be me. That'd be my grandkids. I mean, my kids.
Right.
But as Christians, if we say, there but for the grace of God go I, we should follow that with, then there with the grace of God I go. God has blessed us so that we might bless. And I know God can do it without me, but I don't want him to. I don't want to miss the blessing. I don't want to miss out on that. We have a chance to, not just be a fan, not just to be in the stands, not just to be on the team, but to be in the game. And so we have a chance to do that today, and just every little bit makes a huge difference. So a monthly gift of $30 can save 6 children over the course of the next year, 6 for less than $1 a day. In fact, $60 a month would save one a month for less than $2 a day. Nice. So I hope that, except for February. But I hope that you'll join us now and just call the number 888-884-4836 or go online to wordfm.com.
Very nice. 888-884-4836. Once more, very slowly. 888-884-4836. Of course, online at wordfm.com.
Let me also just say quickly thank you to Anthony. Anthony said, I want to save one. I'll save a $60 one-time gift, Anthony. So thank you, Anthony in Pittsburgh. Thank you very much. 888-884-4836.
Very nice. Now, Lauren and Kath, obviously, you're both mothers. You've been down this road before. You can't imagine what it would be like to walk into, your child's room and see a little tiny pocket of flesh. Mm-mm. I mean, it's just something that's hard to wrap your head around. But this is how life is.
I identify with this. I'm even embarrassed to use those words because it's not the same thing. But I remember having my first baby, and she was not able to eat for a variety of reasons that we didn't understand.
As a newborn.
We didn't understand at the time. And I was young. I'd never had a child before. I didn't know what was going on. Sure. Anyway, so you go to a doctor's appointment, you leave the hospital, everything was okay. And then you go to a doctor's appointment 3 days later, and then she's down so many ounces. And then you go back 3 days later, and she's down more ounces. And it was just a perpetual state. Now, fortunately, she was born at a weight that she could sustain that. But I remember the terror that I felt. And being the mom, it was different than what my husband felt, because I felt like it was my fault, because that's what the mom is supposed to do. The mom is supposed to feed the kid, right? My husband wasn't supposed to feed the kid. You know what I mean? So he didn't feel it in the same way, where I was like, I didn't sleep. I truly did not sleep for probably 2 weeks. I mean, you say people can't really go without sleep for 2 weeks. Actually, you can, if you're that freaked out.
What happened?
So it ended up that we were able to go through several things, and we were able to supplement and do until she was able to figure it out.
I see.
But it was 12 weeks until she was out of the woods. That's a long time with an infant, especially when it's your first infant. You don't know what you're doing. You don't know what's going on. So it's 12 weeks.
It's because you're thinking minute by minute.
Exactly.
Right.
And you're obsessing over the next doctor.
Nothing else to think about.
And so you're like, I'd be in the produce department at the grocery store, and I would put her in the little thing.
Aware.
Yeah, just
the
aware.
scale.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. I'd put her. Yeah, I know. And people would say, "Oh, that's so sweet." There was nothing sweet about it. It was the
Right.
fact that her mother was like had an emotional problem,
Yeah, so- yeah.
psychologically
All you think about.
imbalanced. That's all I
Right.
could think about.
Yeah.
That's all I could think about.
888-884-4836, 888-884-4836, or online at wordfm.com. $60 literally saves a child's life. Truly, it saves a baby's life. We call ourselves pro-life, right? We look at the Supreme Court and all the battles that go on, people lined up in outrage and fear and all that. Be a pro-life person right now and help us with Save the Children at 888-884-4836 or wordfm.com.
You know, when I think you were talking about what it's like, my daughter, my firstborn, Caroline, was 10 pounds 1 ounce.
Wow.
So she was like a third grader.
That's a big girl.
Right. When she was born. Had her backpack ready, and there she went. The boys, even the twin boys, my boys were big. Usually twins are really small.
Yeah.
One was 6'14", and that was a small one, and one was 8'5".
Oh, my goodness.
I know.
Two babies.
I know.
Two
It's like
babies at one time.
15.3
And they
15
were,
pounds,
yeah.
3 ounces of baby in there.
Your wife was the size of Arkansas.
Yeah, it's like 5 feet tall. Normally weighs 100 pounds. I told the nurse, "You'll call her Mrs. Wilder, please. Call her by her first name. How dare you?" So it's hard for us to imagine what it's like. And we have so much help here. Access. I think access is one of the hard things for me to explain to people because we have all the access here. You have a problem. I mean, within seconds, you got somebody that help you and somebody to help the person helping you. You have all kinds of safety nets. We have a faith safety net, we have a family safety net, we have a local safety net with several layers, even growing layers of federal safety nets from a health standpoint. But imagine being in a part of the world where there's nothing, man. I mean, if it's not coming from you and me, it's not going to happen. And I would just say, draw the circle bigger. I mean, God has blessed us so that we might understand that we can be a blessing to somebody else. And so, it's easy to do, and I hope you'll do it even now. I think it's a Word FM family tradition. I mean, we've done this is the 6th year in a row we've done this at this time of year.
Fabulous.
And I would just say, either go to wordfm.com right now and just say, yeah, I'm going to do it. Listen, you can do more later if you want to. Just do something now and be an encouragement to others. So either online at wordfm.com or call the number 888-884-4836.
Okay, now we don't want to miss the idea of what the plumpy nut is because we've talked around it, but exactly, a child is malnourished.
Yeah.
The mother finds Save the Children through some means, and then, as you're saying, this plumpy nut is in a tube.
It's like a plastic. Think of it like a salad dressing thing from the fast food. It's smaller than the size of your hand.
Okay,
Or I think a lot of baby food comes like
is that
this
right?
now
Okay.
too.
A little pack.
We're of the generation, that baby food was in little jars, but now the little, like the little squeeze packs. Yeah, I think that's.
And all you do is you rip off the corner and then you squeeze it right into their mouth. It's about the consistency of Nutella. I think Nutella was actually the inspiration for it. And again, it's huge. I mean, it doesn't need to be refrigerated. So once a mom knows, or grandma in some cases, bringing their grandsons or daughters in, once they know how to do this, they can take a week's supply back to the village. But I'm telling you, if you said, "Tell me about this. What is this that I'm holding?" that I say through an interpreter, and they will say, "Oh, that is a miracle food. That is a miracle food." And they really do view it that way because it really is like that. It's like a miracle. I mean, within 2 or 3 days, a child is brought back from the brink of death. And that's what you can do today. Just in time for Christmas. I mean, home for the holidays. Let's send 50 of those kids back. That'd be $3,000 total. Let's send 50 of those kids back from that hospital in Niger where I spent time. Let's send them back home for the holidays. And you can do that today, 1 or 2 or 5 or 10 or more at a time at 888-884-4836 or online at wordfm.com.
Very nice. This is not hyperbole or exaggeration in any way, shape, or form. This is the gospel truth. You are saving a child's life by picking up your phone and calling us. That's really what it is. 888-884-4836 or wordfm.com. Hey, thanks for being with us. We're talking about Plumpy Nut on today's show and truly saving a child's life. The desperation, he just told us he'd been in Africa 14 different times. It doesn't get old only because you see the desperation. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of hard to sort of just push that under the rug.
Mm-hmm. You know, when you, as I said before, I never thought I'd ever go anywhere. Never thought I'd come here. Just stuck in Texas my whole life. But to go to Africa and see that, and to see the need, and then to come back, and I always have two prayers coming back. One is help me not too quickly to get reassimilated, and immediately pay $200 to play golf, and no big deal. It's just my life.
Walk into the grocery store.
And the other prayer is to somehow, Lord, speak through me. If I'm the only chance somebody's going to have to hear about it and hear what the opportunity you give them to save a child's life, make up for my mistakes, and I hope he will. That's always my prayer. Cracked vessels though we are, that he would somehow use us in our imperfection to convict and convince through these poor communicators, and so we try.
I'm into that. 888-884-4836 is the number to call. Please join us. 888-884-4836. I know there's a lot to grab in there. Or wordfm.com. Super simple, easy peasy.
Mm-hmm. So I was sick over the Thanksgiving holiday, and it's just the respiratory thing. You know, you and I sound similar. And anyway, so I ended up like 5 days into the sickness or whatever. I overate. And I didn't really overeat, like quantity wise, but I had a very large amount, a very, very large amount of buffalo peanuts.
Oh my.
Okay, which are very delicious, available from a local purveyor, and they're very hot. They are great. And I had been sick, and so I hadn't been eating all that much.
But you desired that.
They tasted very good to me.
Did they really?
Yes. Yeah. And so I was eating them, and I was feeling, okay, anyway, I got extremely sick from that. And because I had not been eating much, and then I went and did that. Anyway, the long and the short of the reason I bring this up is I was in the middle of the night up with such gastric distress and filled with self-loathing, of course, that I had done this to myself. This wasn't something that happened to me. But I looked up in online. I'm Googling. It's like 3 a.m, and I'm like, what do stupid people do who've eaten spicy things? Anyway, what they recommended was a nut-based substance because of how much nutrition you get.
That's true.
And how it's helpful for people who aren't able to process food. And I made a paste, which is actually pretty similar to Plumpy Nut, and ate it.
Get out.
And I have to tell you, in 10 minutes, I was better. Now, that's someone who's a healthy person, but it's like this is just basic medicine, natural medicine that you're giving to kids. That's what we're asking
Lord,
you for
save
today.
us from ourselves. Wordfm.com. Please join us to save a child's life. Plumpy Nut, wordfm.com. Hey, greetings. Good afternoon to you. Thanks for coming along as the sun sets on a picturesque Tuesday afternoon.
Beautiful.
Lovely, is it not? Yeah.
And it's so nice to be out doing holiday things and not freezing.
Yeah,
I know some people, some of you crazy people love 10 degrees and snowing.
Well, dusting of snow would have set the tone, wouldn't it?
It was absolutely fine without that dusting.
Oh. Did you buy anything?
Yes, I did buy some things.
Did you use a charge card?
Yeah, why are you asking?
Well, I just kind of wonder what that's like.
What,
If
are
you're
you
walking
trying to
around-
be my conscience?
No, if you're walking around with a wad of cash outside, how does that work?
No,
She usually carries several $100s in her hand, holding it up
In a money clip.
as she goes
Shouting.
through the market. Does anybody have stuff I could spend $300 on?
Yeah.
Anybody?
You got a pinky ring.
No, John's talking about the Christmas market, which is down at PPG Place.
Mm-hmm.
If you've never been down, you really should, because there are Peruvian handcrafts and Vietnamese handcrafts and German handcrafts and Polish handcrafts, and what am I forgetting?
Polish handcrafts?
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, Russian.
Definitely.
African.
African, yes.
Yes.
They have the little spoons with
Yep.
see, I could go
Yeah, yeah,
back.
and those
I could
little
go back and
angels.
do it all again.
That's all your
Now,
shopping.
see, 2 years ago, I went with both of you.
Yeah,
I went
and it
down
was
there.
fun, and I can't believe you didn't want to go back.
Well,
Whatever.
I wanted you
Her
to have
feelings
some
were really hurt.
girls' time. Huh?
yeah, whatever.
Yeah, you want to have girls' time
You
together.
wanted to take a nap.
Yeah,
That's always a cop-out guy. Go,
But
"Hey,
No
you
kidding.
time."
John and I got together. We said we think they'd be better off on their own. But I remember
Actually, we
going-
didn't even say anything. We just,
I remember being on the being there with you guys, and there was a woman selling Kenyan stuff.
Yeah.
And I went over to her and talked to her about Kenya, because it's one of the places I've been.
Yeah.
Kenya.
Oh,
And we
she was
talked.
from Kenya?
She was.
Yeah.
She was
Yeah.
the real deal.
Right.
Really.
So I
She's
guess
probably
the
like, "Who's
Polish
this
people are
crazy
from
nut?"
Poland.
Yeah.
And the German people
Yep.
are from. They
yeah.
come
and
over
I
just
was,
for the.
and that the Peruvian place, there's a big sign that says, "Please donate to our next mission to Peru."
That's
So you can
right.
you can go and talk to them about what they're doing in Peru.
So they're from Peruvia.
They're from Peru, which is amazing.
People were there.
And I couldn't find that.
There was a really sweet young girl from Pittsburgh too who did metal crafts,
Yes.
metal signs, and things like that. She said she had just recently been in Houston, and next week or the week after or something, she's going to be maybe in January. She's going to be in Dallas, so she travels
Traveling around
all
with her-
over the country selling her
with
things.
her
She just happens
wares.
to be from Pittsburgh.
That's
small
interesting.
world after all.
Yeah.
It is a small
It
world
is.
after
It
all.
really is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so these voices you hear, Lauren and Scott, they join us. This is, you said, your sixth
This is
annual
our,
visit.
It
is
is.
our 6th annual visit, and that qualifies, based on a definition that I came up with earlier today, as a Word FM family tradition.
Oh.
That we are saving babies, saving young children this time of year. And I know you guys do the video thing, and I'm not really into that at all
That's us.
for obvious reasons. But
You can see us and Scott and Lauren.
Christy tried to arrange the cameras to block me out and get Lauren on.
No,
It didn't
you're right
work
in
out.
front of them.
But
The Ride Home streaming live on YouTube at The Word Pittsburgh.
Well, here's the thing, though. I was thinking that they ought to really tune into that today, because there's a lot of nonsense going on in here.
There
that
is a
probably
lot of-
doesn't normally
there is a
go
lot
on.
of nonsense
Yeah,
going
you guys
You're
always
pretty
kind of, you're pretty much like the anchors of it all, and then you bring in the ne'er-do-wells,
And
Right.
right.
the interlopers.
Don't bring us down, man.
So, but I'm kind of relaxing you a little bit. It's okay.
Yeah, thank you.
So you could check it out today.
Plus, he's wearing a hat. I thought hats were
why
like
do we
for
see
both.
You know why I'm wearing a hat? You know why I'm wearing a hat? Tell them why I'm wearing a hat.
Well, he's wearing a hat now because he started wearing a hat very early this morning.
you didn't
I
wash
think
your
he
hair.
said
No,
he
I did, but
And
I
he-
put the hat on with the hair wet.
Yeah, so now he
So
has
now
to
I
wear the
have to
hat.
wear it
Right.
all the way through the whole day.
Right.
Because it's just
Hat fashion is hard.
it's very
Right.
it's very handsome. It's very handsome out here. right
Well,
now.
if we get 500 viewers, you have to take the hat off.
Yeah, let's
There
do
we
it.
go.
We get $6,000. I'll take the hat off.
That's right.
$6,000. to
Okay,
say,
for a gift of
let's
$6,000, Scott
say-
Wilder
let's save
will
100
remove
kids, and I'll
his hat. at
Look
The
like
Word
one of those little
Pittsburgh.
birds in the
That's
glass
right, with
of
the water, yeah.
Right, tip,
I
tip.
love those birds.
Yeah, they're fun.
Love those
Get
birds.
one of
Can you
those
still
down
get
at
those birds?
Probably down in Market Square.
Oh, we didn't see those.
I had one of those growing up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know,
puts
they
his
tip
head down.
forward,
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
water.
So a
Right.
little or a thermometer or something in it. The little red thing goes up, and then he
What was the
goes
point
down.
of that?
We're still talking about it.
I don't know,
that
it's
was-
a time-
Endlessly
time kill.
fascinating.
It was kind of nice, It's like it was cheap.
Yeah.
Something to buy your kids.
Yeah, how's that work? Look at that. Isn't that
Yeah.
sweet?
Yeah.
And then
Like
you just
magic.
move
It's not
on.
really magic. It's really science.
Right.
It's a lot like the paddle with the ball. You know what I mean?
Oh.
There's really
No, there's a skill involved in that.
but
The bird thing,
the
there's
point
no
of it
skill.
is that you hit the paddle on the ball. There is nothing else to do with it. It's not like it has a larger purpose.
But that's satisfying.
You're learning something. I don't know.
You ever do that? You good at that?
I wasn't very good at that at all.
Screens to stare
Yeah,
at.
exactly.
I would
pass
like
the
do
time
3
somehow. You're right.
times, and then I would pick someone in the room to move it toward.
Right.
It became a huge weapon. Look, I was one of 4 kids.
Paddle
I was
bully.
the oldest, and it was the paddle bully.
My dad would say, "I'll use it on you."
Yeah, well, my dad was a school principal.
Yeah, exactly.
We had lots of paddle experience in the Wilder household.
You did. Okay, let's stop. We're talking about Plumpy Nut, despite all the tomfoolery.
Yeah, Plumpy Nut, in case you're wondering, is a ready-to-use therapeutic food for kids who are suffering from severe acute malnutrition.
All right. And it is a miracle. Truly,
It really is.
I mean, when you think about, we're not using it here in America, right? I mean, we're not. We're using it in
Right,
third world
right.
countries. We're using it in places where there is no medical care for children who are dying. They have no NICUs, right? There's no
Right.
neonatal intensive
There's
care
no
unit.
IV to hook up.
Nothing. This is children who are living in the, the vastness of the wilderness, and their children are dying. All of a sudden, Save the Children shows up, and Plumpy Nut is available.
Let me give you a sort of a stark comparison. The World Health Organization, by the way, Lauren, you have a couple people to thank here in a second, but the World Health Organization declared the worst place in the world to be a child. It's not Afghanistan. It's not Syria. It's not even North Korea. The worst place in the world to be a child is Niger.
Really?
Where I have been most recently in Africa, because they base that on child mortality, death at childbirth, malnutrition, all the things that lead to a horrible existence, especially for children. Like I said, children are always the ones that are impacted first and worst. And so today we can arguably, from the best place in the world to be a child, we can send life-saving Plumpy Nut, that ready-to-use therapeutic food, to the worst place in the world. And some people have already done it. I'll give you the phone number right now. It's 888-884-4836. 888-884-4836, or handle it all safe and secure online at wordfm.com.
And we want to thank Ray and Donna from, is it Avonmore? Avonmore. Ray and Donna called, and they said that they would like to save 6 kids over the course of a year. And you can do that when you make a $30 monthly gift. And then also we want to thank Wendy from New Kensington. And Wendy, thank you for your $60 one-time gift. Thanks so much, Wendy.
And so we're waiting on your phone call now. We want to thank you by first name and by city. The Bible says give honor to whom honor is due, and we think it's good that you would stand up and do this wonderful thing with us today. But it's also good because it tells other people that are listening, hey, you know what, this is where the cool kids are sitting, right? We're all going to do this together. I'm going to do a little bit, you're going to do a little bit, she'll do a little bit, they'll do a little bit, and all of a sudden it's going to become something.
Nice.
And so we're really, today we want to save 100 kids in the next 50 minutes. And the only way that happens is if we all do a little bit. And so I hope you'll call. You could do a monthly gift like we heard, $30 a month for the next 12 months. Saves a child or 6 children over the course of a year for less than $1 a day. And so that's a great opportunity. Or a one-time gift. Maybe you're the end of your giving sort of person, and you got to figure out, I got $2,000 or $3,000 I got to do something with, and want it to be something good.
Very nice.
This is a Word FM family tradition. 888-884-4836.
Nice. So we're 11 days away from Christmas morning. So wherever you are in your shopping list and all the celebrations of family gatherings and whatnot, please set aside just a little tiny piece for a child who is literally, truly going to die. There's no exaggeration there. And Plumpy Nut is the panacea, the miracle cure that will allow that child to live, to flourish this time next year. 888-884-4836. That's 888-884-4836. $60 one-time gift saves a child's life. WordFM.com. Hey, thanks for being with us. Gorgeous evening here on Tuesday. It's lovely. Isn't it fabulous? You know, it's always good to see the world from a different set of eyes, from, someone who's not from where you are, right? You get to see a whole other perspective. So Scott and Lauren are with us today. They're coming in from Dallas. We've been talking about Pittsburgh on and off, on the mic and off the mic. But especially as Scott and Lauren travel, they go to Africa and they see firsthand the work that Save the Children does with Plumpy Nut. They literally see the vitality brought into a child's life after that child is on the edge. Now, you can only imagine, I'm sure anybody in our listening audience has had that experience where their child is close to death. I mean, a certain percentage of people see that. And the horror of that, the desperation, the fear, the heartbreak of all that. And so Scott and Lauren, as you stand there and you watch one mother after another bring their child into a tent in sub-Saharan Africa and say, please do something, anything, keep this child from dying. And their miracle of miracles is Plumpy Nut.
It really is exactly that way. I mean, it really is. To have 50 moms. One of the things we wanted to do at this particular hospital, I think it was like 10 and a half hours by Jeep to get to this hospital. And we wanted to follow one child through the process.
Sure.
The first building is sort of a stabilization building. Kids that are severely malnourished, their immune system is wide open, so they can have all kinds of other problems, respiratory problems, diarrhea. I mean, kids by the tens of thousands die of diarrhea every day.
The most common form.
Yeah,
right?
It's unbelievable. Yeah. And you say, what? But it's true. And so you have to stabilize the child first. Then you go to the zone number 2, the building number 2, and that's where the Plumpy Nut and all that. And you teach the moms how to give it to the kid. And then the third building is a building they call the House of Smile, because the kids by then are rambunctious and they're being kids again. And the moms are being educated. Okay, here's some Plumpy Nut to take with you, and remember this and the other, and making sure that as they go back to their village, they never have to come back, with this kind of problem with this child, or hopefully any child, again. And so when you have those, we were there to follow one child all the way through that process. And so went down the first day, bed number 1, bed number 2. Remember those mattresses in summer camp, kind of gray and blue striped thin mattresses?
Yeah.
Remember that? And the pillows were like placemats or something.
They're like World War II mattresses.
It was like just horrible.
World War II, like
steel,
field hospital.
The beds were squeaky.
Didn't matter. You were 12.
But the thing is that's the beds, the 50 of those lining the walls of this little makeshift hospital. And day 1, you meet all the children and the parents, or meet the parents. The kids are still very bad off. And the second day you come back and there's no child in bed number 2. And so I asked Ali, who is my interpreter there, I said, where's the little girl that we met, yesterday? And he said, she is no more. And I thought, language, difference and stuff. Maybe she went back to the village, or she's down to building number 2, or he said, no, she died overnight. So she had died. One day I was with her, and the next day she is no more. She was no more. And so we followed a different child that was actually in a bed right next to her all the way through the process. And I bring that up only to mention that it really is life and death. I have twin boys that are now twin men. They're 26 now. When they're kids, they'd make a mistake, and I'd say, first, did you learn anything from it? And then I'd also say, hey, you know what? It wasn't life and death. Just stuff. It's just material stuff. You're safe. It's good. It's okay. But in this case, this is life and death. It really is life and death, literally life and death for a child. And you can be I would say a savior with a capital S, but you can save this child by providing just a little. I mean, I would just say, think of it like a stocking stuffer. We when I was a kid, I don't know what it's like for you guys, but we always got candy, nuts, and fruit. That's all we got in our stockings. Were candy, nuts, and fruit. And now it's, gift cards for this, everything. Everyone's like, so maybe you're going to give lots of stuff in a stocking stuffer, or as a stocking stuffer. Maybe you would just say, you know what, we want to, for every stocking we're going to stuff here at home, we want to save 1 or 2 or 5 children. And so it's easy to do. It's ours to do. I think it's a very Christ-like thing to do today. And it's a Word FM family tradition, our 6th time here in December, giving you the opportunity. And we certainly hope that you'll join us now. So we're just getting near the radio. Don't delay, and just do it right now.
All right, so
at 888-884-4836 or online at wordfm.com.
That's right, 888-884. That's a lot going on. 888-884-4836 is the number to call. Once more, just so for clarity, 888-884-4836. Or real simple, just wordfm.com. You'll see the Save the Children banner at the very top of the page. But whatever it is, here we are, 11 days away from Christmas Day. I know people are overwhelmed thinking about any number of things, of course. We greatly appreciate your presence here. We don't take that for granted at all as part of our broadcast family. So thank you so much. And you know that we do things like this, often, right? That we build homes. We raise money for people with Bibles. We, educate children. This is life itself. To save a child's life is, I would say, if not the most noblest thing you can do. Certainly, it's in the top 2 or the top 3, right? Save a child's life at this moment by picking up your phone and saying yes to Save the Children at 888-884-4836. Now, I want to think about this as well. We're talking about the children, but there's also the idea of the mothers. Now, Lauren and Kathy, the idea of these mothers, and we're not talking about Betty Crocker. This is not a woman who's 30 or 35 years old. For the most part, this is children who are having children, right? That's a whole other cultural mindset here that, it's hard for us here in the West to wrap our minds around. But a 16-year-old girl, a 17-year-old girl who probably was not educated, probably did not have schooling, and now she's left to her own devices. I mean, that unto itself is a very difficult circumstance.
Right. And sometimes maybe even with more than one child who is suffering from severe acute malnutrition.
I remember one little girl that came in. In fact, it was the girl that we followed her. Follow her. It's like we stalked her. We followed the progress and then went with her back to her village. And she was actually not the youngest in her family. She was brought by her grandmother, who seemed quite young to me. But the grandmother brought the child in, little girl in, under the age of 2. And the reason this 17-month-old was suffering from severe acute malnutrition is because her mother had another baby, and she was nursing that baby. And so this baby kind of got left behind in the process. I mean, part of it is education, and it's hard for us to even imagine, well, maybe don't do that because this means that, and germs are this. If we weren't raised this way, we wouldn't know about it.
Of course not.
And so you got to set up the table your judgment on this.
Well, we've got all the answers.
But yeah, you know what I'm saying? It's like, well, how could anybody not know that? Because they weren't taught that, because they don't live in a world like we live in. And so, this is just, I think it's just the most compassionate thing we could do, especially at Christmas time, is to bring families back together, cure a child, save a child, cure them of severe acute malnutrition, and send them back to their village for Christmas. You're going to be gathering with your folks at Christmas time. And wouldn't it be nice to know that you've done that for somebody else? It's just good to do good. I mean,
It is.
I just think it's just good to do good. And I don't know how you're motivated, whether you're motivated religiously or politically or otherwise. But I just think it's just when I have done things like this, not because it makes me feel like a better person. It's just like, okay, it's not all about me. The G.K. Chesterton, one of my favorite authors, one book he wrote 120 years ago, Orthodoxy, the Romance of Faith, and one of the great. There are many quotable lines in that book.
The whole book is
it
quotable.
really
lines,
is, especially the second chapter.
Yeah.
But one of the great lines in that book is he says, "How much larger your world would become if you could just be smaller in it."
That is so good.
Isn't that great? That's sort of a 1904 way of saying what I told my boys. Hey, buddy, you're not the center of the universe. It's not all about you.
What you said, boy, your version is really poetic.
Yeah. Well,
It rivals Chesterton for sure.
You say it doesn't. Let's just wait 100 years. You don't really know. With Idiocracy, you have no idea how poetic that could sound in 100 years.
You're right about that.
But the point is that, our world is quite small if we are the center of that universe. And we're not the center of the universe, but we know who is. And we know that he has a plan for every single child and has a love. Every single child that is suffering from severe acute malnutrition was handmade by God. I mean, not cookie cutter. God handmade those kids that maybe, don't look like your kids. And we have a chance to be Christ-like to them. And I just don't like to miss a chance to do that. And so we hope you'll call right now, 888-884-4836, 888-884-4836, or at wordfm.com.
We need to take a break, but when we come back from that break, I'm hoping that we can talk about just the difference that we can make if we focus on caring for an individual and doing what we can versus being overwhelmed by the political thing or the economic thing or whatever's happening in a country. You look at a place like Niger or Ethiopia or Central America or North Korea, whatever, and you think, what's the point?
What's the point?
So screwed up, right? But what if we thought about it individual to individual? I bet that would make a difference. Just to stay close. It's the ride home.
Hey, thanks for being with us. We're talking about Plumpy Nut and literally, truly saving a child's life. $60 is the basic ask to save one child's life. Now, we love this because people have called, but our hope was in this hour that 100 children's lives would be saved. We are below that, so that's why we feel a sense of urgency here. People have been so smart. They've joined us at a monthly level of, like, say, $30 a month throughout the full year. By doing that, that's 6 children's lives. It's a fabulous thing to do, and the pain is pretty minimal, Scott.
You know, I do some things like that. I do a monthly thing, and then also do some where it's like, you know, I'll if I got it now, I want to give it now. But other things I do where it's like, I know I want it to be kind of part of kind of who I am, and so I do it. And when it comes up on my phone, which is the way we get notices even from organizations, hey, remember this is coming out of your account. It's like immediately I pray for that cause. Yeah. It reminds me. It's just a part of who I am. That every single month, and then what's interesting is when there's something that came up, and I won't go through the details, but one of the things I have is a military thing, and when something comes up where I know that the organization I've been giving to for all this time is active in taking care of this problem or the family or whatever. So if you give to save the children, and the next time you see something that is in the news, you can know I made a difference. I mean, I know what you were saying before about it could be overwhelming, but what if we just saw it as an individual? I think, for a long time, there's something I used to say all the time is you can fool almost everyone from a far distance over a short period of time, but you can fool almost no one up close over a long period of time.
That's so true.
And so, when you are there on the ground and you see it in person, everything else fades away. Lauren knows this because I'll call back or I'll message back, and I do reach the point at some time. You asked before about, does it ever get to you? 4 or 5 days in, I just think, you do almost get to the point, what is the point? And then you go back and you say, the point is this one child.
Right.
You can't do everything for everyone. You can't even do everything for most people, but you can do everything for one person.
Yeah.
Or 2 or 5, or however God has blessed you.
And that has to be enough.
Mm-hmm. It has to be enough. Because if we all do a little bit, we get something done. And so today, we're really covetous in the good sense for your participation, in part because we want you to experience the blessing, what it is like to do this, and really not to do this. That makes it sound transactional. It's really more to be this, to be the kind of person, I'll say it a different way, to be the kind of people we present ourselves as on Facebook and social media.
Right.
I mean, we get to actually not be Facebook friends, but your real friend. I mean, actually make a difference, not just appear to make a difference or appear to care, but to actually do something that makes a difference.
Yeah, well, you think of how, Jesus, how do you sum up the law and the prophets? Mm-hmm. He says, love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. Love your neighbor as yourself. Mm-hmm. Like that is as simple.
Everything else falls under that.
Falls under that, right? So everything we're talking about today falls under that. Everything everywhere falls under that. But you're making a very good point, Scott, in saying that we portray ourselves as one thing, and if we're not like that, there's no power in our statements.
No.
If there's no there's no character backing it up, or no decisions, or no fruit that backs it up.
It's also a very lonely existence to know that you're not that person.
Oh my gosh!
That when you're alone with yourself, you know who you really are. And all I'm saying is, you keep doing whatever you want to do on social media and all that stuff. But I would just say, don't miss the chance to be that person. Taking the word of the world and making a change in the world because Christ made the change in me. That's ours to do. And I don't want anybody to give out of guilt. We're not trying to beat anybody up, but every now and then I have to be, shake me to wake me. I have to really almost not as bad as slapping Barbara Stanwyck in a black and white movie, but close. To really get my attention, to shake me out of my prosperity and my comfort. If we were as dedicated to doing what God has given us to do as we are dedicated to making sure that we continue to be comfortable. Imagine how much stuff we could do if we just did it for a day.
Yeah.
And no better time than right now. Bring families back together. Send a child back from the hospital to her village at Christmas time. And so 888-884-4836. Big gifts, small gifts, monthly gifts, one-time gifts at also wordfm.com.
Very nice. You bring a great point up, right? That comfort is the drug of the masses in the 21st century. Hey, please join us. 888-884-4836. That's 888-884-4836. Of course, online, so easy at wordfm.com. But join us. The time is now to save a child's life. $60 with the miracle of Plumpy Nut. You can do it on a monthly basis to break it down, but do something now. 888-884-4836.
Look
I
at
gave you the water.
How many times a day?
That water back.
How many times a day do we think about food?
All that we were just talking about food.
Right. I mean, it's always on our mind. We're never far from it.
Let me tell you something. You know our buddy Bill up there in New England. We're gonna see. Lauren already knows what I'm gonna say. We go to see Bill and we stay with Bill.
Yeah.
And we get up in the morning and we drive through the Dunkin' and get some of the Dunkin' stuff. Mm-hmm. And we are not out of the drive-through before he is talking about what we're having for lunch.
Right.
Really?
And then at lunch, we're talking about dinner. And I mean, it's like well, we were just doing that.
Sickness,
we're going to go out to Lauren's and treat at a fancy restaurant tomorrow night. And so we're going to go have some food tomorrow night. And but we're talking about it too.
Can't help it.
It's part of our culture.
Right.
Is food, obviously.
It's part of every culture.
That's true.
So I've traveled. I mean, we've traveled
That's
a bunch
true.
of places, right? It is. It's true. It's part
Yeah.
of human culture. Is that food is representative? I remember talking to some college student friends of mine who were staying at my house and were kind of, before they came or after they arrived, telling me what I could make for them and what I couldn't make for them.
Oh, I got you.
Based on their preferences.
I
whatever.
see.
And so, but it was only because they haven't traveled. And I said, you have to understand that when you travel,
Right.
you have to be a good guest.
That's correct.
And that, so whatever country you go to and whosever home you're in, you eat what they give you. Because that's how humans
Right.
interact with the
Affirm,
world
Right.
and give hospitality,
Correct.
And honor.
and
To
be a good
receive
guest,
and
that's
honor.
right.
And we've been in places, I know we've talked about this, where we didn't feel like it was safe to eat.
What is
Right.
it, first of all?
Right.
What am I eating?
Right.
Yeah. And you do it. Because that's what
Right.
that they're giving their best to you. And so
Right.
you think, well, if I'm going to be sick for 3 days, then I'm going to be sick for 3 days because
Right.
I'm not saying no to this person.
And I'm not going to ask exactly what is in bush meat stew.
Right.
Right.
They say, well, it's whatever we catch in the bush. They would put in a pot, and that's bush meat stew.
Sure. Anyway, so that's just the way humans interact. And so we've often talked about what happens when food is a scarcity. Part of the human psyche, I think, is impoverished. Like in addition to the body.
When you go to part of the world, and again, been to Africa 14 times so far, and have seen lots of desperate stuff in Ethiopia, in Kenya, in Namibia, obviously in Niger, where I was most recently, and they have nothing. They have absolutely so they're not sitting around talking about food except trying to find something to survive. For us, food is sort of a social thing.
Well, and we talk about comfort food
Right.
too, which really is not anything about how it is, taking care of our,
That's for sure.
fortifying
Yeah.
our
You're so
our
right.
body for survival. It's what it's doing for us emotionally.
Psychologically.
Yeah.
One of the things that we haven't really talked very much about is how you can come to the rescue of an adult. To have a child that is desperate, to have a woman who is desperate because her child is sick. Even as a dad, I know moms have a special bond with kids, and so do dads. But when your child is sick, you would do anything to help your child. If it's in the United States, okay, your child's a little bit sick. You go to the corner place. What do they say? Everybody lives. It's like 98% of America lives within 5 miles of a Walgreens.
Right.
Something
Right.
like that. You can go there. They're going to have what you need most likely. You can get it probably for free. If it's not for free, you have the money to do it. Access and availability and your ability to pay for it. What if you took all of that away? It's all gone. There's nothing, nowhere, and if there was, you couldn't get it. You couldn't afford it. And so what happens is children become those that suffer from severe acute malnutrition. And again, it's not being hungry. We're not talking about feeding a hungry child. We're talking about saving a starving child. And so, look, I know Christmas time we don't want to talk about starving, but you know what? It's the way the world is. And if Jesus were here today, he wouldn't be saying, "Yeah, don't worry about that." Still enjoy your fun and kicking Christmas time. I think the best way to have a great Christmas time is to do the most Christ-like thing you can do at Christmas time. And we're talking about children that are under the age of 2, suffering from severe acute malnutrition. Your gift of $30 a month can help save a child every other month for a year for less than $1 a day. Less than $2 a day can save a child every month in the coming year. We didn't know, was it 2019? Everybody was like, man, 2019 was terrible. I can't wait for 2020.
Right.
And then we got 2020. I was like, 2020, that was terrible. Can't wait for 2021. Here we are again. And I heard somebody just the other day say, well, this year's been terrible. I can't wait for the new year. It's like, dude, look back 3 years. It's you never know.
The hits keep coming.
But the thing is, it's like, what if your life really were hanging in the balance, or your child's life were hanging in the balance? Yes, you're providing enough to save the life of a child, but you're also coming to the aid of a parent, putting an arm around their shoulder and saying, you know what, I got this for you.
Yeah.
$60 is nothing for me.
Give that number.
I don't know. 888-884-4836. 4836 or online at wordfm.com. I was just, before we went on the air today, I was immediately desperately trying to quickly spend money on one of those delivery places with the big A and the smiley. I needed to buy something. I thought I needed to buy something right then. But you know what? We don't feel that way about things that actually are quite urgent for other people. This was just nothing for my comfort. And so I would just say today, just for a moment, could we feel that desperation and know that God, I remember meeting someone, I think you were with us, and I heard a woman say, I prayed to God and God sent you. Think about that for a second. I prayed to God and God sent you. You can be the answer to some woman's prayer. There is a woman like the woman who brought her little child that looked like a rag doll, and I thought it looked like basically a little tiny skeleton with skin draped over it, and she basically almost dropped it into the arms of a healthcare worker at a Save the Children hospital, and then she got on the ground and just cried, and her tears were hitting the dirt floor of that hospital, and she said, I don't know what to do. I think he's dying. How can we not reach out and make a difference today? So I hope you will. We're standing by, and we welcome all those who will. We're going to draw the circle really big. There's no gift too small, no gift too large, and we're waiting for your call now at 888-884-4836. We have 2 days to save 300 kids. That's a chunk of change. We save 100 today. That's $6,000 total. But 50 kids come in every day to that hospital. You know, if you wanted to... My dad, long since gone, his name is James H. Wilder, and when his birthday rolls around on July 12th, we text each other in the family, Happy James H. Wilder Day. What if you have somebody in your life that you'd like to honor that way? And you could say, you know what, $3,000, we're going to take care of every single kid that comes into this hospital on a given day to honor our dad or in memory of our mom or whatever you want to do. I would just say draw the circle big, and don't think you have to give $3,000 to help. $10 is great, and $10 a month for the next 12 months can make a difference. 888-884-4836 or online at wordfm.com.
But if you have $3,000 and you're hearing this message, this is a great place to spend it.
Sure is.
Yeah. We want to honor small gifts. We want to honor big gifts because you're the only one who knows where you are and what your thing is. And, I was talking to a friend of mine today. She and I were together yesterday, and she sent me a text this morning, and she said, I just want to apologize because I felt like some of the things I said about some of the people we were talking about were gossipy, and I shouldn't have said that. And I got the text message, and I thought, well, I didn't see it that way. So I sent her a text message back, and I said, I don't think you should apologize at all. It wasn't gossipy. I didn't take it that way. I felt like you were just concerned about the people. And her response was interesting to me. She said, I know me.
She knew the motivation.
And it was for me.
Yeah, interesting.
And I thought, that's really interesting. First of all, it's a very mature person, right, who's able to say that. She was not waiting for me to either condemn her or validate her. She, it wasn't about me.
She knew the truth.
But she knew the truth. Yeah. And so I think that should come with our giving, too, is that we know who we are. We don't need external validation. We shouldn't need external validation, but we also shouldn't need a person telling us how much we should give.
Correct.
I think that we need to know our own thing.
Yeah. My brother, just real quick, my brother retired, got bored, went back, took a part-time job. The part-time job turned out to be a really good part-time job. This was several years ago. He's in charge of everything west of the Mississippi and Guam. And so he's in charge.
That seems very random.
I know. He's in charge of all of that. And the reason their business kind of blew up good is because they happen to be in the business of helping school districts with off-site learning.
Stop it.
Goodness.
And he took that job a couple years before COVID. So they had laid all this groundwork, and then they were ready. I say all that to say, I know there are people listening right now that might have had a really good fiscal year. And you kind of don't want to tell anybody about it because everybody else has been kind of hurting, and you don't want to even talk about it. But you might want to be responsible with that, to give some huge gift for the end of year giving. And we would invite you, and of course everyone else, to call the number or go online right
Very
now.
nice. The number is 888-884-4836. Once more, it's 888-884-4836. Of course, always online, so easy at wordfm.com. But don't let this moment go by. Do something. I think all of us right now, you're feeling a little grumbling in your stomach. We've been thinking about food. Pass that along. A child desperately needs to eat today.
Tender.
Okay, this show's essentially over, right? People are packing up. That's how it's working. But Scott and Lauren have been with us from Save the Children. Listen,
From Dallas, Texas.
24/7.
I mean, they're here in studio, but they
right, yeah.
hail from.
Right, they do.
I really was pulling for the Steelers the other day.
Oh, God.
And I was just sick
Yeah.
as I watched that. I really
Yeah.
was. I was like, man, won't they block for Ben?
I know.
I mean, just
Thank God.
terrible.
Welcome to our nightmare.
Right.
Well, I think Dak is overrated, and our defense. If we hadn't had a defense the other day, when did that halftime was like 24-0, Cowboys leading, and then
I know,
second
and
half
then
it's
you
like
Hang on.
It's like junior high showed up.
Right.
It's like what's going on?
Right.
And you think, what do you guys?
I don't know.
What were you doing?
Yeah,
No, it's
I don't know.
We don't play the game, so we don't really know what's going on.
No,
No.
because
Could though if we wanted
no,
to.
here's the deal.
Don't you think?
Because we don't play the game, we know everything that's
Right,
going
that's the
on.
problem. It really
No,
is.
but it's just I was pulling for Ben. I really wanted. Who are they playing? I can't remember who it was.
Minnesota was our
Oh,
last
it was.
game
It was
Thursday
Minnesota.
night.
Sure was.
They were a
yeah.
bad team.
Yeah,
Yeah, they
should have
had.
won
Keep
that.
in mind, they were the only team that's lost to the Detroit Lions.
We tied them. We tied
the Lions, and then we
Man,
lost to the
that's-
Vikings.
Yeah, that's not good.
That's not a
I
recommendation.
mean, empires rise, empires fall. It's
Yeah,
how
we're
life is,
falling.
right? Yeah.
But we're still cheering on you guys.
Thank you. The sad thing is, truly, we can still win the division, which tells you something about how horrible.
It's like the worst division ever.
It's like when the Rangers used to be always have a chance to win the American League West. It's like, really? Yeah. It's like the American League worst. I mean, even I'm not AL West,
like
it was
that.
AL worst.
Right.
And we were, we're the top of the.
Boy, they had a bad year
best
this year.
Losers.
They did.
Yeah,
that was really bad.
Yeah, I know.
I actually think that they lost more games than the Pirates.
Do you think?
Oh, I think so.
Yeah,
I think so.
Then that's a really bad year.
Yeah,
really
it
bad.
was. So maybe next year.
So thanks for helping us
spent
to
all our
go
money
there.
in a stadium, so it's
right.
Can't afford players.
I know.
But we
I hate that we're not
do
in the
digress.
stadium.
Look, we've got a minute left. Okay, so put an exclamation point on our day here, Scott.
Yeah, I would just like to say, don't delay. The devil's really tricky, and if you have the thought, you know what, that's a good thing. I want to save a child by providing the plumpy nut. The devil is not going to say to you, don't do that. That's a terrible idea. The devil's going to say, great idea. You got a lot going on. Do it later, because he knows that if he can delay you, he can distract you, and then you're going to miss the blessing. And you can always do more later. So just call now and do something at 888-884-4836 or online at wordfm.com.
Very nice. It's dinner time. So as you gather with your family this evening, you say your evening prayer and give thanks for the daily bread. Don't forget those children who would love to have another tomorrow and another tomorrow. Wordfm.com to give, or right now at 888-884-4836. As always, thanks for being with us, and God willing, we'll see you tomorrow. Have a great night.